Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Cosmic Starseed Academy, and these are the Saturday weekly gatherings and Pleiadian channelings. This evening, we're joined by Dennis and Seth, and we have two new people, Jordan and Jeremy. I'm Soma ARah. So, welcome, everyone. Today's date is the 11th of April 2026, 7:26 p.m. here in Ireland, and we are live on YouTube. I will do my best to keep an eye on the YouTube and the people watching and also the comments. So if you have any questions, please come and feel free to ask away. And actually, if you're on YouTube and you're watching and you'd like to join us in this Zoom, if you have a look on my website and the page is on the Zoom screen, it's somaarah.love and it's Cosmic Starseed Academy page. You'll find the link for the Saturday group and also the other groups. Oh, goodness. So we are in some very powerful energies, very high energies. There are lots of things happening, different situations happening around the world in different places. And myself and Dennis are both in Ireland, and there is a lot happening in Ireland. Lots happening in Ireland. Dennis, would you be happy to share some stuff about that?
Yeah, so at the moment, prompted by the conflict between Iran and Israel and the US, and then the blockage of oil coming out of the Gulf states, that shortage of oil has increased fuel prices in many parts of the world, including Ireland, and lots of working people in Ireland, farmers, truckers, many business people have been very unhappy with this increase in cost. Not only has petrol increased, but the Irish government puts a very high tax on our fuel. So we have the dearest fuel in Europe because we have the highest tax on it. And then on top of that, there is carbon tax. So farmers are asking for some of this tax to be reduced, and they are protesting in Ireland, and they have come out in great force in convoys of trucks and tractors and lorries and vans, even motorbikes. And they have blocked city centres and some motorways, and they have been protesting for 4 days. The government is strongly ignoring them and now sending army and police to forcibly break up some of this protest and blockage, and using force and pepper spray to do so. So that is something that's happening in Ireland at the moment. But a lot of people are, of course, following a media and a government line that these people are very bad and irresponsible. But I think a majority of the people understand that these people are bravely and courageously standing up for the good of the community, not just their own families, and bravely looking for some more fairness and the government that we have to be more responsible in looking after its citizens. Our government seems to be very globally focused and about keeping Europe happy rather than its own people. So there's things are a bit so there's a heightened uncertainty and conflict at the moment, and a lot of protest and dissatisfaction with the government, and that's something that's in play at the moment. Yeah, that's all I have to say on it.
Thank you, Dennis. And we seem to be heading into civil war.
That's a bit dramatic.
I don't think so.
No, we're not there yet.
I think it's coming.
That may be, but that is a time when there is going to be much more chaos globally than we have now. So, and that mightn't be far
Could be
away.
next week or next month.
It'll take a while for it to.
I'm not so sure. I think if it's going to happen, we will be in all of that chaos and civil war within 3 to 4 months.
It's quite likely to be this year. I think it could flare up in the early summer months and really take effect in maybe September.
What are we now? 11th of April. I think that it will be a lot sooner than that. A lot sooner. I think people have
No,
had it.
it won't be sooner. It won't be sooner. Uh, like people of planet Earth, not just Ireland, have been enduring some have been enduring bad behavior of their governments, have been enduring difficult financial conditions, have been enduring clear social injustices, not for months, not for years, for decades. So it takes a while. When people have been enduring something for so long, it takes quite a lot to shake off that um, persistence and ability to endure, to come into action. It's almost generational with us. So I think there will be massive change, but it's going to take more ratcheting up, and it'll take a bit of time to do it. Yeah. But that ratcheting up is I expect going to happen. So I expect this whole situation in the Middle East to turn into a proper chaotic mess, which it hasn't arrived at yet, just in case people think it's bad now.
Well, I think it's going to be sooner than that, Dennis.
Yeah, things will happen. A whole lot of things will happen, and you can go, look, there you are. It's happened. Look, it's worse. But what will not have happened is the people will not be rising up against the systems that are pressing down on them so soon.
Thank you, Dennis. I'm just checking the messages in YouTube. Psychola says, hi, Dennis and Seth and everyone. Okay, so Hi, everyone that's in the YouTube. Julia, Desert Sage, Psychola, or Sylvia. Okay, so let me get
The
into it.
protests in Ireland are going to get resolved soon, however that happens. They will be resolved soon. And it's so important to understand what is the emotional and frequency level of the people who are protesting. And they are being persistent and they're being courageous and patient, but there's no rage there. They're acting very responsibly. These are people who are blue collar workers, and so they have high morals, and they're keeping within their own ethics and moral kind of view. So the government isn't going to be receiving any violence from these people, even if the government puts violence to them.
Which they have
Uh,
done already. They've been
yeah,
pulling people from tractors and
yeah.
vehicles.
So what I'm saying is, this is not the time that the Irish people are going to, you know, they're just protesting. They're not moving into revolution, and
Not yet.
it won't happen until things get much worse, and that could happen.
Well, that's interesting. I do see things happening very quickly and quicker than September. I just wanted to say hi to Starrel and um so I have been watching a lot of TikTok today and a lot of the um videos about what's happening in Ireland, and I've seen people being pulled from vehicles by groups of guards, police, and being pepper sprayed in the eyes and being kicked while they were on the ground. And I do see a grand uprising in Ireland. And there's a couple of things I wanted to go over and share tonight. I've been sharing them for a while. One of the things I haven't often shared is that I am the granddaughter of Michael Philbin, who was an Irishman back in the day. And when he died, I was 8, and he came back to me in spirit. And he was one of my first important experiences with spirit world. And I'd been seeing spirit for a long time before I connected with him in spirit. But he was an important one for me because I was very close to him, and he really instilled in me a very strong Irish warrior spirit. And there's a couple of things I want to go over today about Ireland and the how it's connected to Atlantis and the grand uprising, which I believe we're already in now. And it's not just Ireland; it's also other areas of the earth, and also the Celtic warrior spirit. And there is also, it goes deeper than that. It goes a lot deeper than that. So I feel like I would probably be best to channel some of the information rather than, yeah, I think I'd be better to channel some of it. Um, okay, bye, Jordan. Jordan, see you tomorrow. Um, okay, so Dennis, please will you lead us into the prayers? And let me just say that when I get information, it's not often wrong. It's not often wrong. I might sometimes get dates wrong, or um, yeah. I think if I've had anything wrong in the past, wrong information in the past, it's normally been dates. However, I do believe that we are going into a civil war and an uprising, and I think it's going to happen sooner than September. Um, April, May, June, July, August, September. Yeah, I think it's going to happen sooner than September. I think it's actually already started, and I think it started a good few months ago. But I think it's a gradual, slow process. I think people have really had enough, and I think it's in stages, it's in waves. Those people who are really awake and aware and conscious are ready now for change and are ready to initiate that change and make it happen. And I think people at the back of the line who are not so awake and aware and conscious will come to wake up to another level, which will ignite them into action. So perhaps Dennis is right. Perhaps it will be September. I don't think it will. I think it will be sooner than that. But as long as it happens, it doesn't really matter. I see it as a positive thing. I see it as people waking up and reclaiming back their power. I really feel like just going to go into a channeling now. So, Dennis, please begin with the prayers, my darling.
All right. I will say a simple prayer which has the name of the law of one. The law of one. I will say this prayer. It's a short prayer and repeat it a couple of times. We are all one. When one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, I ask for the greatest good of all here concerned. I give thanks. This is done. It is so. We are all one. When one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, I ask for the greatest good of all here concerned. I give thanks. This is done. It is so. We are all one. When one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, with Mother, Father, God, I ask for the greatest good of all here concerned. I give thanks that this is done. It is so. And a short I am mantra. I am the light. I am the love. I am the truth. I am. I am the light. I am the love. I am the truth. I am. I am the light. I am the love. I am the truth. I am. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Please just give me a few moments to go deeper and connect more. And if any of you in the Zoom now would like to or be happy to also go into the YouTube and to perhaps keep an eye on the comments, I would really appreciate that. We are delighted to be here this evening, and we come in with a very strong, forceful energy. Perhaps forceful is the wrong word, but powerful energy, a very strong energy of Lyra and Lyran beings, more of a warrior type energy. Many of you will be feeling this in these days. And this is to do with astrology, alignments, and stars lining up. It is also to do with ascension and evolution on your planet. There are times to plant seeds. There are times to reap the benefits of those seeds. There are different seasons and different energies. Let us begin. In the beginning, in a beginning, We've said before that there are many beginnings. Do not see disagreements or different opinions as being a negative thing. Pick your battles wisely. This should never be one of them, unless people are being hurt. Let's go back to Atlantis, which is a parallel timeline now. You were invaded by a negative alien race. Atlantis was not one place on your planet, but it was an era of time, which is where the word Atlas comes from. It comes from Atlantis. Life on your planet was very different in Atlantis. And you were invaded by a negative alien race who changed your DNA. We've said that Atlantis was really an era and not just one specific place, but it covered the whole of your planet. And there were major cities like there are today, prominent sacred lands that were larger than the smaller areas, with larger populations and larger buildings and larger crops to sustain the larger populations. We've often shown Soma, two very prominent areas, one being Ireland and one being Florida. And before the mass amount of water was there, these two lands were connected. There was a time when your planet was much smaller and you could more or less walk the planet, more or less, without vast amounts of water in between the lands. There was a time when there was much less water on your planet, and the land was more walkable from point A to point B. The land masses began to break away and separate. Ireland and Florida was part of Atlantis, but so were other places on your planet. But these were two very prominent areas that still contain sacred energy, sacred sites, sacred DNA amongst your people. Egypt is another sacred area. Stonehenge is another sacred area. Peru, Machu Picchu. All of these large sacred areas were connected to Atlantis in one way or another. Many of them were bases or foundations of a previous structures, but some of them are still intact, and some are gone, long gone. The people of these lands have been targeted from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. Because they contained great power in Atlantis. You could say they were the original starseeds on your planet. The teachers of esoteric knowledge, wisdom, teachings, understandings. They were the priests of the day. Or the goddesses of the day. And it is these people of Atlantis that have been persecuted again and again and again and again for thousands of years, over thousands of lifetimes, which brings us more or less to today. And now it is time of ascension, where you are in ascension, and there is an uprising, and it is not restricted or limited to Ireland or America. You are in a great evolutionary period of Atlantis uprising, of the Christ consciousness returning to your planet. Do you understand how pivotal, significant this time is now? How important you are to be born on your planet now into a physical body. There is nothing more honorable or more sacred to be born on your planet now, to be part of the great awakening of humanity now, in this lifetime. There are great changes upon your planet, both in the 3D, 4D, 5D, and upward and upward and upward through all the dimensions. You are seeing great changes in the 3D to do with 3D situations, war, famine, energy crisis, housing crisis, food crisis, medical crisis. We've said for some time that all of your systems are crumbling, and this is the way it needs to be. It is a changing of the guard, a return of Christ consciousness on your planet. We will pause there and allow for questions.
Hi there, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, sorry. I was wondering about the narrative. So currently there's a lot of narrative about how, the government is very controlling and some of the dark energies are within our government. But I also wanted to know about like the light beings that might be working with our government, and some of the maybe protectors and saviors that might be walks leaders in our leadership today, and how it's looking like from maybe a positive side on some of the benefactors within the systems.
Great question. Thank you, Jordan. Okay, I kind of came out of the channeling then, but I'm going to go back into it. Your governments are at the top of the pyramid system. The governments are reptilian in nature. More recently, there has been what you call, or what Soma calls, white hats. Infiltration is the wrong word, but there has been, and this is part of the uprising. Your consciousness, your awareness is becoming more, and there have been white hats, good people that have infiltrated the dark. Within every system, not just the governments. Also military, science, research, archaeology. There is a huge cover-up within all systems, especially archaeology and science, and pharmaceutical companies who wish to keep information hidden from the masses regarding free energy, regarding cures for certain prominent conditions and illnesses on your planet. Many lives have ended abruptly, unnaturally, because of these negative agendas on your planet to keep you enslaved. You are breaking free. Humanity is a race, a civilization, a society, a collective of human beings, and we use that word lightly, that is raising in frequency, is raising in consciousness, is raising in evolution. And you are here now in a great uprising, not just of lands or separate countries such as Ireland or America, but you are in a great uprising of your planet. There are dark days ahead. But what comes after that is light, an ascension, an upliftment, and freedom, peace, free energy, free food. You were not born to live as you do, restricted, imprisoned, slaves. which you are. You were not born for that. You were born to overthrow that system. Things will continue to get dark on your planet, to get ugly. Perhaps for some, even unbearably. It is a dark night of the soul for your planet. We want you to remember Egypt. We want you to remember Atlantis. We want you to remember Lemuria. We want you to remember who you are. We want you to remember your past lives and where you're from. You are cosmic beings having a physical experience, and you are so much more. We don't just want you to read the words on a book. We don't just want you to listen to our words. We want you, all of you in this group now, and many others, to actually remember who you are. Whether it be while you are asleep, or while you are in meditation, or while you are doing the dishes, or while you are looking after your children, or while you are bathing your bodies, or while you are swimming in the sea. Whether you are around crowds of people, or you are at home, curled up, relaxing on your beds or your couches, or even in front of your televisions, we want you to remember who you are. That is the most important thing for us. And that is the most important thing that you can be doing right now, is remember who you are. We were once you. We are you. From a future time. Bring it home. Don't just listen to our words, whether it's through Soma or a book or a movie or videos. Go meditate. Go talk to the trees. Go swim in the ocean. Go lay on the earth. Go have fire ceremony. Go drum. You'll find the answers in nature. You'll find the answers in you. You'll find the answers in Jesus. Oh. Now would be a good time for questions.
If no one else has any, I have another one. So for those of us who might be struggling in meditation or in dream time to remember past lives, do you have any advice for us to go deeper rather than just relying on media to remember?
Yes. We like your energy. We like your... There are many words we could use, but let's just say that we like your energy. And thank you. And within that, there are many images we're showing Soma of you and your energy and what you're capable of and your ability. So we will find tomorrow very interesting, as will Soma. Let us add that there is a space, thank you, in between being asleep and awake. That is a trance-like state. This space of being in between being awake and asleep is an altered mind state. And if you can hold this space as long as you possibly can, either before you fall asleep or when you wake up, before you are fully awake. This is a space to step into where you can meditate and you can ask to yourself or your higher self to remember. You can ask your guides to help you remember. You can also get a little stone or crystal or pebble by your bedside or your bedside cabinet. And as you are in that space, you can hold the stone or crystal or pebble and put that energy into it. And then that stone will contain the memory of those memories. And then you can go back to it later and meditate again with this stone or crystal or pebble and ask to be shown, ask to be reminded of your memories in the stone or crystal or pebble. It is... Soma's looking for the words, but we would, to be able to explain quickly, let us just use the word embed. Embed. Energy with energy. This can be done with any object, really. Imbued, embed, infuse. Does that answer your question enough for now?
It does. Thank you.
Soma would like to invite Dennis to share.
Maybe later. Let us pause there. Oh. Okay, welcome back, everyone. So we were just having talking amongst ourselves there and having coffee and cigarettes, and myself and Dia had an experience about
2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago, 2 weeks.
I think it was 3.
And oh, 3, really? God.
Yeah, because I've been
Time's really
moving,
speeded up.
so yeah. Yeah, it was about 3 weeks ago, I remember, because did you want to say more about it?
Just that I just wanted to introduce you into sharing what happened. So go
Okay.
ahead, Dia.
Okay, so it was just a casual, friendly catch-up conversation. I had my phone on. We were on WhatsApp, and I was walking through my park in Florida, and I was showing Soma the park. And what was interesting was Soma was seeing these faces in the trees that I couldn't see immediately unless I looked through the camera. And I think I brought this up maybe in a previous meeting about some tarot reader had made, maybe I didn't say it here, but some tarot reader had made mention of cameras would be picking up things. And people would be using their cameras and finding all kinds of weird things. And anyway, so Soma kept seeing these faces. And as I'm walking through the park, I get to this. Oh, Soma's still there, okay? Right? Okay.
Yes, I'm still here. I'm just
Okay.
secretly smoking in the background.
Okay. So I get to this one area where there's a huge oak tree that had fallen over the previous year when Florida had those horrible hurricanes come through with Hurricane Milton, and Helene came first. And there was a lot of devastation in this state park, and a lot of huge oaks went down. And so I was showing Soma the root structure of this oak, and I was like, yeah, it's about 15 feet high. And she's looking at it, and feel free to chime in, Soma. And she says to me, I see a being trapped in the root structure. And now the sun is starting to go down, and I'm looking, I'm like, where? And she's pointing out to me what she's seeing. And I couldn't see it with my naked eye so much, but I could start to see something. And Soma, if you want to describe it, that would be really cool. What you saw.
Okay. I saw, and it's the second time I've seen something, that is similar to that. So I saw I'm trying to remember now, I saw it was huge. It was bigger than a normal human being. It was probably 2 or 3 times that size. And it was dark in color. It was black in color. And it looked in between. It wasn't human. It was more of an animal type insect. Like not even sure what exactly it was, because it was so unusual. It was more like a locust. And I remember it had like a kind of a round back, and it was black in color. And I remember looking at the face, and it definitely had legs, I think, or some type of lower body. But it was huge in size. It was huge in size. And it was tied to the tree. It was tied to the tree energetically. And what's coming to mind is kind of it like when you see some of those fossilized stones or beings kind of been, there are energies that have been embedded into other energies. So let me just show you something.
And I gotta say, I'll fill in here. So the sun was going down, and I was starting to freak out.
Let me just add, Thea.
Sure.
Let me just add.
Yeah.
That this, you can, yeah. So this is a stone I picked up in, I think it was Galway somewhere. because I remember I was doing shamanic work at the time, and that was in Galway. So this is a stone that I picked up.
Wow.
But this is an energy embedded into the stone. So there are two types of energy within nature, within stones, within trees, within plants, and I've been seeing this since I was a child, where I've seen energies in trees. And there's two types of energies. One is the natural spirit of the tree, for example, or the stone, or the plant. But I'm very visual. I'm a very visual person. So I see things very visually, and I have been since I was a child. But this energy, so the other type of energy is where energies have been embedded into other energies. So this, in my understanding, is an energy that is embedded into the stone. This is not the spirit of the stone. This is an energy that's been embedded into it, kind of tied to it. So anyway, go on, Tia.
That looks like a little skull in there, like a little face.
It is. It is.
Yeah. So I immediately got a little bit nervous about that. And Soma, I had to ask her what she was seeing, and I immediately something came over me, and I started trying to help release this being. And so Soma and I, like, I stayed in communication with her. I'm like, what are you seeing as I'm doing this? And actually, what you said was you felt it was man-made and that it was meant to be part of the storm. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. Yes. Hi, Christy. I do remember that. And I also, yeah. Can I just add quick?
Yeah.
So I saw human beings working with dark magic, dark entities, where they were creating these dark entities to affect the weather, affect storms. So it was like they were creating these dark energies, these dark forces, these dark animal type beings to orchestrate, to lead the weather in a very negative, manipulative way. So that's what I was seeing. I don't know if that's good enough description.
Yeah, you also said that it felt sad. And what I took away from that was that it felt sad that it was created for that purpose, and it was sad that it was in that situation.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And so I was helping to release it, which, Christy, I'm glad you joined, because I kind of wanted you to know about this experience. It was pretty wild. And so something came over me, and I was just working to release it. And I just stayed in communication with Soma, and she was like, yeah, it's going to release, but it'll take about 2 days. And it's actually grateful that it's going to be going back to source.
I do.
Soma?
I'm glad you brought it up, dear. I do forget so much. Like it was just terrible of me. But it is part of targeting. Like I do really forget important stuff, and I had forgotten that. And I do often forget the channeling. So it's very good for me when I write things down, or I mean, that's how I started to channel, was by taking dictation. So I kind of need to get back to writing things down.
Okay.
Dennis, do you want to add to that? And then we can open it up to Christy and the group. Did you take any pictures of it, dear?
No, it was just, we were just live recording through WhatsApp.
Okay.
You know, it's funny, I actually have taken video or photos of those roots before, so if I go back on my phone, I may find some old pictures and you might be able to spot it in there. I mean, since you said it was there from the storm. But I didn't take any that night.
Okay.
But I felt that was a really great union between the two of us, because I couldn't really see what I was working on. And so it was like I was helping release, but you were helping me to see where the being was at.
Yes.
And that was, otherwise I would have turned and ran. You know.
Best not to sometimes.
What?
It's best not to sometimes.
I'm sorry.
It's best not to sometimes. It's best not to sometimes.
Turn and run?
The other... Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
The other experience I had with that, I was doing my shamanic training, and this lady I was very much in awe of her, and she was a wonderful lady, a beautiful soul, and she had just written a book about blue orbs and blue light, and it was along the theme of it being Pleiadian energy. And of course, I think I'd already started to channel them. Yeah, I had at the time. I'd already started to channel the P's at the time. And of course, I knew what this blue energy was. And anyway, she came to me, in Galway, I was living in Ireland, and she came to me for a healing session. And I didn't really think at the time that I would be able to help her very much, because I kind of had her. Those were the days when I was still putting people on pedestals. And I had her on the pedestal because she's written this book, and she was really, really heavy into advertising it. And at the time, she was really into publicity, and I wasn't there yet. But she turned up to the healing center. I was using a friend's room called Mary Queenie in Galway. She has if anyone's listening and you're in that vicinity, or even go online and have a look at Healing Earth in Galway, I'm sure she has an online website. Mary is a kind of a long-term friend of mine. Since 2009, when I landed in Galway, and I walked into her shop and never left. And Mary's a great soul, and she has I think it's Arcturian or Andromedan connections in past life, but also Atlantis. And we just got friendly and started talking about stuff that was more unusual then than it is now. And so anyway, I was using her room in Galway. She had a therapy room because she's also a therapist. And I was doing a healing session with this lady, and I was sat down, and this lady was on the massage couch, laying on her front, just, getting into it. And I was there, and I was sat, and I was tuning in, and there was a table that was next to the wall, and the massage table was in the center of the room, quite a small room. And on the table by the wall, I could see this etheric locust turn up on the table. And I think it was brown. And it was about that big. It was quite big. And it turned up, and it wasn't a physical thing, but I was seeing it very clearly in a lot of detail, because I'm so visual, and I was asking it, Like, why was it there? At first, I was a bit scared of it, to be honest. I was like, oh my God, what is that? And then I homed in and was looking at it, and I could see it in more detail, with like everything. And then it was saying that it was from her lifetime in Egypt, and it was an energy that she'd been carrying with her from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime, like just down through the ages. And it kind of needed to be let go of and to be sent healing. But it was attached to her, very much attached to her. And so anyway, I just wanted to share that. So anyway, Dennis, what do you think of the experience with Dia?
I think we're going to become more aware of spirit presence that is around us, aware of spirit presence that is there to help and guide us, and spirit presence which is that has some dis-ease and looks to get help. And when it presents itself to us, it's because we are able to help. And by giving attention and by giving care and love to that entity, that is the largest part of what is needed and why these present themselves to us. So sometimes some of these can be somewhat complicated, but most often our recognizing these beings, our acknowledging them, our giving attention to them and perceiving their condition, and then using our intention and our open hearts to wish them resolution and wellness and proper destination is all that is needed.
Yeah. I think it's very interesting, the stuff that I see that is etheric or nature spirits or those types of energies that are not physical and not human, are more kind of nature spirits or animal spirits or locust spirits or but that's the first experience I had with Dia, where it was a man-made. It was man-made energy that was created by a negative human beings, like in a laboratory or some scientific laboratory where they were creating these. Because it was only one that I saw, but I had a very strong feeling or understanding, rather, that was not a singular, that was not the only one that was being created. That there was these beings that were being created, and they were very sad that they'd been created to. There was a huge sadness with it, that these beings had been created to force the weather to be very destructive. I've never seen anything like that before. It was very strange. Like the wind wasn't moving naturally, it was being forced by these beings that had been created. Very weird stuff. But anyway, so Christy, I know that you came into the call. It's great to see you, and I know you came into the call kind of as we were talking about that. But from what you've heard us say, is there anything you want to share about that? And then we'll go over to Eric, and then we'll open it up to the group. We are being recorded as well, Christy.
Yeah, I think Eric had his hand up before I came in. So do you want to go to Eric first?
Yeah. Over to you, Eric.
Yes, I'm still here. Is it my turn to ask a question?
No,
Yeah.
we were just wondering, did you have a question to ask?
Yeah, I got intrigued by the story. So
Yes.
my question is, what did you do? Because I have a psychic friend. She told me that because of CERN, that they're bringing beings into these worlds that are not supposed to be brought, because they're smashing particles together at a very high rate of speed, and it's opening portals, and they don't even know really what they're doing, but they're just doing it, and it's allowing a lot of negativity to come into the world, which I know is separate from what you're saying, because you said this being was man-made. So I was just wondering how did you send it back to the source?
Well, I would have to answer that. So, what I kind of felt like I started soothing it, and I was actually moving my hands, and I started breathing a little differently, and I let my light language come through, and I could feel that I started sending it love. And I kept talking to Soma to see what she was picking up from it. And that allowed me to relax more, because the being was willing. It was totally willing to be receiving assistance, and it wanted to be released. So just kept going with that and sending it love until Soma had said, I kind of sensed when we were done, and Soma agreed that it was done. And at that point, she said it would take about 2 days for it to fully release.
I know she said that there would be multiple ones of them. Do you think that maybe you were able to divert some bad weather for Florida by releasing it?
I don't know. I have been working in my area for some time, setting up grids, and I was, it could be why we've had a drought where I lived for some time now. There hasn't been any problem. I mean, I know on the East Coast there were some problems recently. There was just a heavy storm, but there hasn't been there hasn't been trouble coming through, and I don't think it will be. I personally think the focus is off Florida at this point, and they're focusing on other areas. I think that's what they do. I think they target an area until they beat the shit out of it, and then they go somewhere else.
Which is also what they kind of do to the likes of us when they're targeting us. They kind of home in and like step up the targeting, and then they'll move on to other people because they don't have the resources to do everyone all at the same time. So they'll target, certain people, and they'll swarm them or really step up the targeting, and then they'll move on to someone else. And then they'll just keep going round in circles.
It seems as if whoever's in charge of targeting people would get targeted themselves, because there's no loyalty in the world of evil, you know?
So I'm keen to hear from Dennis and Christy. Any thoughts on anything that's been said? And then we can open it up to the group, to everyone. Because I kind of want to hear from everyone, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting that Dia spoke about grid work and that, like, and so she's doing some work in that area. If it's just through her thought process, it's happening, and it's interesting that she's described this energy, like, and how she described it's really just there now. And before you came on the scene, Soma, is interesting, like, not saying that Dia can handle the situation herself. Actually, she can handle it herself. And it's great that you were a support there at the time, but you have the ability to handle those situations yourself because you are a powerful being at this time, just on Earth, having what we call this experience in a body. Like, but outside of that, there's another aspect of you that maybe is interacting with this being, other beings, um, that possibly you're not aware of at this time. They might open the door to give you a sense, a feeling, a touch, or whatever that will allow you to sense something out of the norm. Like, a lot of the time, the ego will take us into that fight or flight moment where we try to figure out what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? What is this? And sometimes we want an answer ASAP. So that is where we reach out and we seek support from friends and loved ones and things like that, but I'll just share something that is related. I have a friend and he can actually see a grey being in a human when he's walking down the street. And he sees them all the time. So he's in the city centre and he's walking along and he can see the grey. He doesn't see the human, he sees the grey being. Now, that can happen for a few reasons, and the word attachment has been used here earlier on by Soma. So, our host, these entities are normally looking for a host, and it's interesting what energy they go for when it comes to masculine and feminine, So it's interesting that this guy can see what nobody else can see. Now, is that grey in that human a walk in, or have they decided just to take that host to manipulate the energy and vibration, of that person, human at that time? So it's really interesting that we have these beings coming forward. Um, I've had a few experiences like that myself, but not attaching to me, but seeing beings, and I brought that to Renturis, and he's basically said that these are uh, connected to you through lineage, so they go way back out into the universe, and we probably had lives with them in previous incarnations, and they're just coming in basically to greet you and invite you for coffee, things like that, So it's sort of being in that awareness and allowing yourself. And it's quite easy for me to say this, but when you're in the moment, I do understand you can sort of buy into that fight or flight moment, and where do you go? But it's being aware that you have the potential to, if you feel it's an energy that's not of your interest, you direct it to leave immediately, and you have the ability to do that, but listen, some of them hang around, and some of them want your company. Some of them want the human experience. Some of them want to just sense your reaction at that moment. But again, it's where you are um, um, at that moment vibrationally, and where the mindset is. And there is low vibrational beings, the archons out there. They like to ramble around, and a lot of the time they're waiting to kidnap somebody, through thought. And they will get in there and manipulate and take advantage, But again, I'm taking it back to um, a high vibrational response. I don't want to start to go into that low vibrational energy, because again, we are exposing and opening ourselves up to that realm that's sort of not of great interest to me in any way, and I'm sure it's not to anyone here in the room. So it's being aware that you're a high vibrational being. It's as simple as that. You know, no one is allowed to sort of come into your space unless they're invited in, like, you know. But if you sense the energy is nice and you're quite happy to feel that energy and you sense that energy wants to give you something more than just that feeling, they could be trying to communicate with you on some level. For some reason, for some apparent reason, as I says, normally that could come through in downloads, like, you know, where they would drop the information into your subconscious. That will come out in your communication if it's in a conversation with your friend or with Soma or anybody you feel that you're happy to talk to about this issue, like, you know. So, but again, as I say, it's about being aware of you, really, and being aware of who you are. And I'm sure we all know in the room why we came back to Earth to have this experience, like, and it's interesting now as we watch it play out because we are having a lot of interaction from different realms, like different star beings are coming forward for support and for various other reasons. Like, you know, there could be a lot of grid work going on a higher level with these beings that sometimes we're not aware of, like, you know, and sometimes then we get an idea or we get a feeling, we get a download and we question it, like, you know, and as I said, sometimes the answer may not be there in the moment. And of course, the mind, the ego will take us down that rabbit hole, like, you know, but um, you sound very confident, Dia, describing it, like, you know, even though you had the support of Soma, like, so, which indicates to me that you're quite capable of handling this energy on your own, like, you know, and if you want to remove it completely or if you want to explore it more, that's entirely up to you, like, you know, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Christy. It definitely boosted my confidence. Definitely. And I was very excited afterwards to know that we were able to help this being. And I never thought I would come across a situation like that. And there's a guy I haven't been able to watch much online for quite some time, but there's this guy Rion de Rion who's got a YouTube channel called Team Light. And he often talks about how he and his partner, Tone Millard, will go and grab demonic beings. And he says they tag and bag them, but they don't kill them. They round them up and they send them up to a ship. And then they get, I don't want to even say processed, but they get judged when they are sent up to the ship. So there was always something very intriguing about his stories. And part of me would always get a little excited inside, like I'd want to do that. But I'm also feeling like, oh my God, that's really too freaking dangerous. But there was always this sort of excitement there about it. And
Yeah.
so when this happened with Soma, I guess it sort of lit something up in me. And I really don't want to be facing demons. That's for sure. Like I've heard other stories about there's a woman who actually really works with heavy duty demons and she exorcises them. But to be able to, if I came across a stuck entity, a being that's like that creature was, I'm thrilled to know now that I can be of assistance. So that's what I wanted to share about that.
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, that you shared that experience. Sadly, there is a lot of souls, sort of, I won't say trapped in astral. That's just a word that's given to us to sort of take us into that mindset of being trapped or just sensing the vibration and the frequency in the statement. But there's a lot of souls that are waiting to cross over, like, and I've had situations in the past where information has come to me about certain humans having the experience, that transition that didn't go across immediately. And they seek support either by the Galactics or by us on Earth, because a lot of the times there's work being done that we're not aware of. As I said earlier on, there's another aspect of ourselves, another realms that are quite busy. And sometimes we get a sense of it and sometimes we don't. It depends really on your frequency at the time, of the experience and where you're going as regards to your role on Earth. Are you carrying out really what you came in to do? And sounds to me, if you're involving yourself in grid work, it's quite clear that, yeah, you are involved as a light worker at this time, and you're here to support not just the collective, you're supporting the universe by putting yourself forward like that, so important that we become aware of that, and because we are getting so much help, yes, as I say, sometimes we're not aware because we're distracted with something else, but we are being supported, and we are supporting many, if it's just opening a door for somebody, if it's catching someone in the street that you see is in sort of distress, and you come to their attention for any apparent reason. That's basically what you're describing here to us, except that energy is in another realm, and it's come to you for support and help, and it's seen that you have offered, so don't be surprised if someone lands on your door, and wants to have a chat, because normally that's how they work. They're very careful how they interact with humans. I know the Rentura has shared this with me on numerous occasions. They watch, they gauge, they visualize your energy and vibration, and they can see a lot of the times where you're at, so they'll only give you what you're able to handle, and they work from that, and if you're able to go the distance, they won't use you, but they'll use you on Earth to carry out various tasks, and that could happen to us all on a day-to-day basis, in various ways, and that's how they work. They're working through us, to support each other. Yeah.
Well, I would love to learn how to do more grid work. That's another term that always fascinated me. And even like the other, during that situation with Soma, I didn't know what to do in that moment, and I just started doing something.
Well, to see it's happening now, it's actually happening now as you speak. So as soon as, grid work comes into our awareness, we become a volunteer, and of course we want to get involved, and we want to get involved in many levels, and we become aware of what we're doing, and we want more of it, but it's understanding that you're actually there now. There's no point in trying to push yourself any further. It's actually happening for you now. And a lot of the times the ego will come in and say, no, I want to go to the next level, and I need to be more involved, and I need to be more active, blah, 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 blah. You know what we're talking about here. But no, you're actually there
what you're
now.
talking about, Chris. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, a very simple example, for
That's
you
a
being the
joke.
channel,
That's
for
a
me
joke.
being the channel, you, and for anybody else, the channel is in the room. We're always trying to improve, our role, if it's in channeling, if it's in grid work or whatever, and a lot of the time that just confuses the individual, it's understanding that everything is happening for you now. There's nothing outside of the now. Okay, and I'm not asking anyone to put their hands up and agree or disagree, but there's nothing outside of the now. Everything is in the now as we speak, and we move in that vibration and frequency. And that allows us to manifest whatever we put our energy into, So I'm just explaining to Dia that, yeah, she has a sense to do more grid work. It's happening now for Dia as she speaks. It's happening through her awareness. It's happening through her thoughts. It's manifesting for us all now. And we can do it now in the moment. It's just about sending light and love out to the universe, in many levels, yeah.
And can I just add to that, Christy, that with Dia, very much see that part of the light language is activations, initiations, but it's more than that with Dia. It's when she does the light language, to me, it very much feels like energies are being cleared through the light language, and that's why she's doing it. So I see Dia at like stood on the earth, and then I see the light language coming in, healing and clearing energies through her from a cosmic source.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Soma. This has been like validating comes in, but that's not even the right word. It just helps give me a little more solidity in what I'm doing, where I'm going. And it's been great to have you guys here because this has all been happening so fast. And even just arriving to this new area now, as soon as I got here, I felt my energy expand out over the land here. And Soma and I had a private conversation. I'm not going to get into it all, but after that conversation that night, I felt my energy kind of putting like a protective, like a fog, like a dome fog over this area. And I guess it's a healing. And I think it was about 2 months ago, I had asked the Pleiadians about my move here. And they said that they made it sound like it wasn't a big deal and that there would be some challenge. There would be a little bit of a challenge or something like that. But that, I forgot the main point now. Oh, I was here to help heal the land. And it's more than that. It's healing what's coming to light is it's healing something ancestrally too. And I'm just feeling like Christy, to what you were saying and what my spiritual teacher Carrie Kay often talks about is just your being there is what helps. Like you don't have to do things anymore. It's just you're being there and something is happening by your presence in a situation. And I think that's really important for everyone to realize that when we walk into the room or when we walk into a land, we are impacting and we're causing some shift to occur. And Eric, I find it interesting that you've moved across the ocean. So I wonder what impact you're having. And I wonder what Amira's having by remaining in Buffalo, and she's looking at leaving, and Seth on the West Coast, and everybody else on the call. Like we're rods of light on different points on this planet, and our energies are connecting on these calls. And I think through that, and this is just coming to me as like a download, we are rejuvenating ourselves and we're building our confidence. We're to step forward and to keep moving and to, I'm not finding the word, fearless is there. Presence is coming through also. I'm sorry, I'm a little overwhelmed with what's coming through. I'm not finding the words, so if anybody else wants to step up.
Igniting and unity, and I really feel what you're saying. It's like it's a whole movement forward into ascension. And it's not done alone, like we're all part of it.
Cosmic web.
Yes, the cosmic web of light workers.
Yes, yes.
Sometimes we're down or going through our own stuff or processing our own stuff that needs to be cleared. And sometimes when we've done that, we're up to help other people that are going through their own stuff. And it's like two escalators kind of helping each other. Or there's a very good image that's coming to mind where there's two people on the side of a cliff, and they're both at risk of falling, but one crawls over the other to pull the other one up. Christy, it's well overdue for some of that food in Dublin. It's well overdue.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Of course, there's a fuel crisis, so I've been joking with Dennis that I'm going to buy a horse and cart.
Are you guys really having a fuel crisis?
Yep. And
are they limiting your consumption of fuel? Is that what's happening?
I'm going to hand this over to Dennis and Christy because they're both in Ireland.
Well, they haven't started yet, but there's a possibility that, they could start manning the forecourts, yeah. I'm not sure if we'll get to that stage yet, but there's a lot of noise on the street, put it that way. And
there's protests.
There's a lot of protests around the country, yes.
I think we're on the brink of civil war again. I know it was threatening a couple of months ago. And then it kind of died away or fell, it kind of, the energy lessened, and it's kind of reared up again where we're coming to the brink of a civil war or on the cusp of it. And I think it will happen sooner than September. But I just see it as a great uprising again of the Irish people, which is connected to Atlantis. And there have been many times when the English and the royal family and all of that lineage and reptilian beings have tried to invade Ireland like they did in Atlantis. And the Irish are very unique, and I'm so proud to be Irish. I know I have an English accent, but today I was really remembering who my granddad was, and it seems like it seems generational, where we've gone from my granny's age of living in a rural cottage in Ireland, being, poor farmers. And then there was my mum's era where the ability to travel the world, with on an aeroplane really became very easy, very easy. And that took us away from making our own food and growing our own vegetables. And now in my generation, we seem to be going back to my granny's era of going back to growing our own food. And I know the next generation, it will just, build and build. And it is such a spiritual war between light and dark, between positive and negative, between alien races. Like, and I'm even kind of, sometimes I'm so sick of talking about it, the fact that it is a war between alien, not alien, but ET energies, like negative and positive ETs, because that is what it is when it comes down to it. When it comes down to the like what is really going on, it's a war between alien races. And yeah, and the great uprising of humanity is, an island is very much part of that. And I was recently watching a really good documentary that I sent Dennis, and I need to kind of dig it out. And I was talking about this earlier, where they were really talking about the DNA of Irish people and how they are extremely unique in their DNA. They are so resilient and warriors, and there's no other culture like them. There's no other DNA like them in terms of being resilient warrior DNA. You know, it's not just a way of thinking. It's not just the warrior spirit. It goes into the DNA of why the Irish people are so much like that and will not back down. And it's because of the DNA. So it's more than just an emotion or a feeling or a blood type. It's really to do with DNA. And they have that DNA. The Irish have that DNA because they were very much part of Atlantis and have that lineage in their DNA. So I'm so proud to be Irish. And I see today, I've really been feeling that and seeing it not just as an ego thing, because fuck that, fuck the ego. But I've been seeing that it's, you know, being Irish or Native American bloodline or sacred people, you know, in your blood, that it really goes back to Atlantis, and especially with the Irish people. And I've been seeing how it's really linked to the great cosmic plan and my soul contract. And it's been kind of overwhelming today because I've really been feeling that energy of awakening the cosmic remembrance within us, whether we be Irish or Scottish or Native American or Maori or Aborigine or African. Those indigenous sacred people originated from somewhere else. And there's many what is the word, audible or traditional spoken stories that have been handed down, especially within Native Americans, of having come from the Pleiades star system and all of that. So I don't know if Christy or Dennis or anyone would like to say anything about that. Christy, I had myself on mute there, but I know you. I can feel your energy watching me there, and it's not just your energy. It's you've got Venturus with you, and you're just kind of observing everything that I'm saying, and I can really feel it, and it's lovely. Thank you.
Well, it's not just Ranturas. We have an audience here of the Pleiadians, Ranturas, and other races that not only Ranturas is connecting to, but the Pleiadians are also bringing forward the collective in their realm, like, you know. So, even though the group might look small here, I can guarantee you we have an audience outside, like, and very happy to listen and to support really everything we do and say, like, as regards to the task that we have at hand here, which sometimes can get really difficult, like, because as
Could
we
I
all
say
know, when we,
something, Christy?
yeah, be real, and it's um, it's something that we're aware of. Well, I know in my generation, we're quite aware really as to not just our lineage background from ARah, but really when we become more aware of what's happening in other realms, we realize really our potential on an individual basis, like, and that task sometimes can become difficult because, as I've shared on many occasions, this can be a lonely journey, like, because there's not everyone on this page, like, they don't realize really their potential as star family, as star beings that have come in. As Dolores Cannon has mentioned on numerous occasions, we came in with a particular role, like, and we actually chose to be here at this specific time to witness what's playing out as we speak. So we're
There's
all
some
being
very
tested.
spiritual words coming to me, like "oh fuck."
Oh yeah, wonderful, yeah. Yeah. And and then you get that saying, you hear that saying, a lot of people would say, I'm not coming back to this place. There's no way. And I love hearing that. I really do, because my response is always the same, like, really, like, and that's coming from an ego perspective in that moment. And when you transition across, the game's going to change, like, of course. And, you don't know at that time really how it's going to play out, like, and where you're going to end up. You might end up back down in Cork, Soma, like, or I might end up back here in Dublin, like, on my push bike. We just don't know, like, but again, it's sort of removing that idea that it doesn't have to be that way, like, and
It's interesting though, Christy, because my mum's first husband, he was born in Falmouth in Cornwall, but his parents were from Cork. They were Irish from Cork. So I have the surname on my birth certificate of Noonan, which is a Cork name, but he was not my biological father. But I was given his name. So, and he was from Cork. So I find that interesting that I'm now in Cork and I'm with Dennis Mulcahy, and, it's all kind of just looping together.
yeah, there's no separation. It doesn't matter where you are on the planet. We are all connected, either through lineage, and a lot of the time through lineage, and we don't know. Like, as I've shared before, I have a friend, he's a bit older than me, and he's still alive, and he's in Ireland, and he was one of my fathers in a previous life. Now, isn't that interesting? And we just met, not by accident. We were meant to meet in this lifetime, like, and Renturis brought that to him in a session that, oh, you were Chris's father in a previous life. So you can just visualize the work that's done at soul level before we decide to make the shift. Like, before we put our hands up, can I go back to Cork, or can I go back to Dublin, please? And so it's really interesting, like, when you start to try and analyze that and break it down in your 3D world. Oh my God. I've actually met another father, and he's here at me at this time. My biological father has transitioned, but this guy was my father in a previous life. We had a life in Australia. Isn't that really interesting? Like, So when you sort of bring that into your awareness, you go, oh my God, like, the family lineage line is so vast, like, because there's many of you, and has been and will continue to be in other realms, like, and so it's amazing, like, and to just even visualize that idea, like, and bring it into your awareness, because it's quite comforting, really, like, when you sort of look at the biological line that you have here, like, and then you realize, no, there's more, like, that sort of way. There's more being coming forward just to meet you in the streets, or just to give you a wave, or just to appear and sort of let you see that you connect. And Yeah, it's really interesting. Mm.
So I have a question for you and Dennis. What is happening in Dublin? Like, what are you, when you go out into the city, what are you seeing with in terms of the protests and all of that? I don't know
Well,
who wants to go first.
me personally, I haven't seen anything in public really. I've sort of kept quite low key, and well, I've been away for a few days, so I just got back today. So I got back very quick. I sort of wasn't delayed in traffic at all. There's a lot on social media, of course, as to what happens and what is happening. Sorry, which is interesting to watch. I do see this situation is going to open up Pandora's box for the government, like, and it's not just going to be about the farmers, like, there's a lot of people now speaking in other areas really that needs to be addressed, like, and so it's going to get interesting. It's going to get quite messy, I feel myself, like, it'll be more than water cannons. I can see it getting messy, but really, I think, we've been given a chance here to make our voice heard, like, and the only way it's going to happen is what we're witnessing now playing out. Like, there may be a few casualties, but sadly, that has to happen that way. Like, mm,
I was watching clips today of some of the protesters. They were being there was Gardaí there, police there, and they were being pulled by groups of Gardaí from the vehicles, and people were recording it. And yeah, and then they were being kicked. He was on the ground. The man that was in the tractor was. They pulled him from the tractor, and they were one of the Gardaí, one of the police, was kicking him while he was on the ground. And so there's been reports I've seen of people being pepper sprayed in the eyes. And there's been reports of two 14-year-old boys, either in Cork or Dublin, I'm not sure which, being pepper sprayed in the eyes. So, yeah, I want to say well done to the guards for doing that.
Why did they, sorry, what's all going on? What started it? Because I'm not sure what's going on. And why would they drag somebody off their tractor? And that's just bad. I can't believe that. What started is about, I heard something about energy, or what started this?
I'm going
And
to mute myself.
You just said, well done to the guards. That was being sarcastic? Yeah, okay. It's fine.
Yeah, of course, darling. I'm muting myself because otherwise I'm just going to unleash with loads of bad language. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You mute yourself there and shut up. Good. Good. So, yes, the conflict in the Gulf between Israel and Iran, the Strait of Hormuz being blocked, oil and gas not being able to leave the Gulf region, it has put up the price of fuel around the world. And many might not know. And so it affects all countries. It affects Ireland. Now, Ireland has, I think, the dearest fuel in Europe because our government taxes fuel, petrol, diesel a lot, which you call gasoline, we call petrol. It's taxed a lot, and then there's carbon tax on it. So presently, with that increase in prices, it's become a bit more difficult for many businesses, truckers, hauliers, farmers, and so they have organised protests in this country of Ireland, protests in city centres, and they've also protested at the depots that store fuel. And that has meant that the stocks of fuel that we have haven't been able to move. So now there are 4 courts around the country that have run dry and have no petrol and have no diesel. And the farmers and hauliers, these are working people, are being very adamant that they are going to continue protesting and causing a problem for the government until the government listens to them. And our government, for a long time, has not been doing a great job of listening to the people. It does a good job of listening to Europe, not such a good job of listening to the people. And so that is why there has been a shortage of fuel or of gasoline in the country because of these protests being prompted by high fuel costs. And that is something that is happening here at the moment. So, my admiration goes to those people for bravely standing up for what they believe and protecting their incomes and that of their families and communities, even though it's causing some upset. But I also believe that when we travel down the road a few months in time, situations could be very different and more difficult. And it'll be interesting to see how we all deal with that. Something I want to say, maybe it's not directly related to what has been spoken. Carl is speaking about Ireland and how special the DNA is there. Something I would like to say is, because so many of our people on this group, you are American, living in America, and I think there is a malaise going on in America where you are filled with perhaps some doubt and shame and uncertainty about your own country. And I think that is unnecessary. At the moment, there is this conflict happening, Israel and Iran. That's the conflict that's been going on a long time. Trump has become involved in that, siding with Israel. Now, I think we all understood that Trump has a role in bringing in change. I think we all agree that. You see, you don't have to like him. I think we can all agree he has a role to bring in change. It was my understanding that Trump would bring in this change as someone who was on the side of light. And at the moment, it's hard to judge the chaos that's going on and how he could be acting for the light. It's hard to see that. Some people can see it and others can't. It's a bit of a struggle. But it's no matter. Trump is going to fulfill his purpose, and he is going to be this agent of change and chaos, change that is needed. So whether he is on the white side bringing this down, or indeed whether he is ensnared with the dark and he brings it down and brings it down on himself, something new and positive will emerge, and this collapsing is needed, and the emerging of something new is inevitable. And I tell you, America is so important. America is key. I think America will be first, and it doesn't depend on Trump. For a long time, America has been understood as the new world, and I think that title is going to become even more valuable. the documents that America has of Bill of Rights and Constitution, I think they are going to be elevated. I think they're going to be truly respected. I think they're going to be completely manifested in a way they haven't been before. I have a strong understanding that a social freedom is going to come to America first. I know it's not there now. It's not anywhere on the planet. But I expect it to show itself broadly in the US first. It won't be Europe. Goodness me. I wish it was, but it won't.
I would like to add
So
something to that.
I just, for the Americans that are here, I just think it is proper that you kind of honor the value of your country and to have some trust in, like, I understand things are a mess at the moment, but not only has it contributed greatly in the past to the world, but its greatest contribution of freedom to the world is about to dawn. And you are there. So we were speaking about grid work and nodes and networks. So you are part of that. You are sitting in this land where a new dawn of freedom is going to come about. Yeah.
Well said, Dennis. And I just want to add a couple of things to that, darling. Atlantis was part of Ireland and America when the land was joined, and that huge mass of water wasn't there. So America is absolutely a huge part of it, and the sacred people, the Native Americans, the Irish, the Scottish, the indigenous peoples of the world, those not just are the people sacred, but the land of those places is sacred. And the other thing I wanted to mention is a lot of people are not aware of what happened in Nepal and how the government in Nepal was overthrown by normal people, by everyday people. Some of those people were very impoverished in the extreme. And I've lived in Nepal for about a year, so I know that the level of poverty that exists there, and like extreme poverty, not like we have in the West. In the West we have social security and backup for the majority of people anyway. But they don't have that there, or at least they didn't when I was there. And so I just want to remind people of, overthrowing governments and is possible. Look at Nepal. I know that was an extreme case, but the people really rose up, and I think that's what we need to do everywhere. And so, yeah, there's that was a very quick way to do it, and I don't know what's happening now in Nepal.
I'm sure they're still in the shit there.
Really?
Yes. Because we are one community on this planet. And so it's when we manage to lift everyone up that the benefit is there. And the US.
But we don't do it in a day, darling. We do it bit by bit, bite by bite, country by country.
I know. So there are, You see, the tyranny that people are experiencing this planet is not coming from national sources. There are just points and persons there that are enforcing a global system that already exists. Call it the Matrix, call it a cabal tyranny, but it's a global system. So, Nepal overthrowing a bad government has very limited ability to improve the life of the nation.
But it was a step forward.
Maybe. But anyway, I don't think revolting is the business of any of us here. We have done that. We have all done it in past lifetimes.
So what is the answer, Dennis? Because how can we move forward into a new Earth and create change and get rid of the systems without revolt, without uprising? I don't see how that's possible.
Well, different souls have different paths. And not trying to jump on any pedestals here, but I think all of the people in this group have all had plenty of experience of sticking people with pikes in the guts and cutting off heads. And, and we've done that. And then we found out that didn't change a whole lot. And then their sons came for us, and we have had to deal with the effect of those actions, the consequences, the karma, and we have done that in over many life cycles. And other younger souls, that will be their path to have their lessons and express anger as more aware beings, as beings who've learned to open their hearts more and be more aware. It is our role to love. It is our role to have compassion. It is our role to have tolerance. It is our role to hold a space. It is our role in chaos to bring calmness. It is our role where there is hurt to give healing. It's not our role to throw stones. And other people will, and for those who are hit with stones, to heal and forgive, and those who are throwing stones, to give tolerance and compassion to those. It is happening. And so we are just to bring our light to it, so as it happens in the most positive way. I mean, each of us lives our lives. Each of us has challenges. Each of us is called to action, to handle challenges, live our lives well, help our neighbors, and that is plenty to be doing. And then on top of that, we are wayshowers, we are light workers, we are holders of space, we are shiners of light. That's what we're to do. None of us here is called to be a revolutionary. And that's not because you're not strong enough, you're not brave enough. It's because you have done it. It's not why we're here. It's not why you're here.
I think we are revolutionaries. I think we are here to bring change. And I think we do it without energy. I think we are doing it without energy. I think it's a war on spirituality, and by raising our frequency and our vibration and being more self-empowered, all of the energetic work is where we need to is what we need to be doing. We need to be individually raising our frequency and being more self-empowered and taking back our power and using that energy within us, our powerful selves, whether it's healing or psychic or medium or channeling, all of that powerful spirit energy that is source, that is God, that is an aspect of God. We need to be reclaiming that, remembering who we are, and allowing that to ignite change, and using that energy to revolt. It doesn't mean, revolt to me doesn't mean using violence, physical violence. It means understanding and knowing who we are and not allowing anyone outside of ourselves to dominate or rule or dictate to us. Sovereignty is where it's at. And that's very energetic work. You know, it's not just, signing a piece of paper saying I'm sovereign, because that's BS. It's really doing the inner work on understanding who we are. And I'm not talking about Soma ARah being a good cook. I'm talking about our galactic history of coming from different star systems and being on Earth now to reclaim our sovereignty. And that is a revolution on Earth. So, yeah. Over to you, Dennis.
Yeah. An interesting thing I just think of is it is understandable to have many emotions in response to some crazy things that are happening. And it is very understandable to have the experience of the emotion of anger. Very understandable that one would experience that. But what comes to me is with that anger, the thing to do is not to go outwards with it. It's not to march outwards. Rather, it is to be still and go inwards. And there connect and allow it to calm. And then one can be a being in a sea of anger as one who has faced one's own anger, which is reasonable, understandable, and learn to face it, live with it, embrace it, without it having to control one, without it having to dictate your actions. And as someone who has done that self-healing or spiritual journey of being able to face that anger without it having to control one, then when one stands in a sea of anger, you are making a difference, the same way as a light makes a difference in darkness.
But then, there is, it's, can we just add the word righteous anger to that?
Yeah, and just stick it in your blouse and keep it there.
You're very funny.
Yeah.
And I think, it's, for me, it's not,
righteous anger.
for me, it's not even just anger. It's, darling,
righteous anger all over the place.
I'll put you on mute, darling, if you don't.
Yeah, you're going to put me on mute. You go over there to Iran and there's righteous anger up the yin-yang in it. You go to Tel Aviv, righteous anger, no end of it. No end of it. It's all over the place.
Some of my anger comes from remembering what they've done throughout history in times that have gone, in past lifetimes. Like, I remember stuff that they've done. And some of my anger comes from that. Like, I remember Atlantis. I remember as a child, like, being in Native America and the white man coming and burning where we lived to the ground. And I remember the smell of burning animals and burning flesh. And I remember the smell of it.
Everyone remembers pain. And everyone remembers it. And everyone carries it. And I don't know how useful it is to carry it. So, that is always an area that invites healing. And how it is healed is by giving forgiveness. It's not by cutting the head off the other person. I think Renturis will speak to us in a moment.
I would love that. I'm going to leave this recording. Christy, please do a channeling if you're up to it. I'm going to leave this recording and I'm going to go and cook. So please, Dennis and Christy, will you take charge while I'm not here?
But we don't want to party if you're not here.
Well, I love you too, darling.
All right.
And I miss you.
I'm fine.
I have to eat.
Okay.
But I'll watch the recording back for
Okay.
Christy channeling. Dennis, darling, don't leave long pauses of silence. I love you. Bye.
I'm getting blamed for silence? Goodness.
Yeah, I wanted to add something, isn't it? I think it's important to allow those feelings to be. That's one way you heal them without just jumping to forgiveness, but just allowing the anger to be there and to let it move through one.
Oh, absolutely, dear. I so strongly agree with that. And I don't know how you got an idea that I didn't. You know, I spoke of the need to embrace those feelings, to face them, to feel them. What I said not to do was march out with them. But no, absolutely. It is so important for us to feel our feelings. And then there is a time that the I amness goes, well, I'm done with that. That cycle is done with. And I'm going to perceive something else and have a different experience or have different feelings. Or, oh, I have to do more work on that. We see so many people who are in constant pain and in constant victim mode, and the world is against them all the time. But they are not doing work, which sounds a cruel thing to say. They are not at the awareness of knowing their ability, of stepping up and taking ownership and responsibility for their experience, for their own soul blueprint, for their own life experience that they have had a part in authoring as immortal beings. So it is appropriate to have every feeling and every emotion and every type of dark thought. This is all fine, but then we are not to stay in anything forever. So the painful emotion, the dark thoughts, the hateful thoughts, it is fine to have them. And so it is up to us to feel them, to be aware of them, to consider them, and to work with them, to heal them in whatever way one does, whether it's violet flame or Ho'oponopono, that you speak to that energy of hate, you speak to the anger, you speak to the upset. But there is work to be done here, and we are spiritual beings. And so, absolutely, dear, none of this is supposed to be buried or denied. There is work to be done. Acceptance, healing, so as we can move past from that experience, from that challenge, have the lesson, move on, now deal with a bigger problem, because there will always be a new challenge. That's what makes it so fun.
Thank you, Dennis.
I'm sorry about that. I tried to join from my phone, but it kind of messed everything up. So anyway, I'm going to cook and I'll see you soon.
Very good, dear. I see Renturus is going to join us soon.
Greetings, dear one. This is Renturis Volantrius. As Chris has explained, and many of you in the call, you have many visitors here in the call and also in your what you call day-to-day routine of your spiritual awareness or of just your day-to-day running your errands or your chores, if that's the word you use. It's interesting that you come together again in this way and share your feelings regarding your well-being and also your concern for the situations that you face. And I say the situations that you face because many of you are aware at this time that the situations that come to the surface really are just what we would see passing cloud. They come into your awareness for a reason and they leave until you create another cloud. It is interesting also that you have the ability to be honest with yourself. I say being honest for a reason, and that is that you come together, you share, you have fun, and you leave. And you go back into what you call your world, your reality, your creation. And among all the chaos, there is an opportunity within you to let go. As this one would say, be the observer only and let go. Some of you struggle with that idea. This, again, is not a judgment. It is just my opinion. And you hold on. I do understand there's reasons why you hold on. But you also get to a point where you realize that that was not really necessary. Your awareness comes to you at this point, and you sense that you have the situation, you had the situation resolved before it manifested. But again, that is part of your experience. That is why you have chosen to be where you are in that moment. Not doubting your belief system, not judging your belief system, but knowing that you have the ability to manifest what you want. I like repeating that statement, not just to this one here, but to you all, so you realize the potential that you have within yourself of manifestation on many levels. It is so important for you to keep it simple, but sometimes that's not an option. And I understand that. We understand that. The human condition is often difficult to accept, really, because one can create and manifest what they want. And through that, that can cause conflict. And that conflict can also be easily resolved when one becomes aware again that you had the situation resolved before it manifested. But the idea of playing the program out is so important. We understand this also. My message is quite simple, and it is a statement that I have used often to you and to this one, and keeping it simple at times is an opportunity for you to understand you. It is not outside of you, it is all within you. Again, this is something you are all aware of. But it was wonderful to listen to the mix of emotions that arose in your conversations on different levels. And I like how you invite each other in for an opinion. That's so important. This will help you in many ways to understand the self. Guidance from each other is so important, but also it is necessary for you to accept that silence is also plays a big part and is necessary to move away from the noise, or as this one calls it, the circus. We like that. You are all invited to the circus, but be aware. One can get lost at the circus through the idea of what they call reality. Mm, mm. Don't allow yourself to become the victim. As Dennis has shared, it is so important for you to understand. You can play that role, of course, if you choose, but there is a small price to pay when you become aware. But once you become aware, you become aware. There is no turning back. We like that. It is important to you. But the distance from this point of becoming aware, and sometimes that journey can be difficult. I understand. As you reflect in your quiet time, you will see where your energy is needed. You will go to that place. You will reflect. You will understand. You will accept. And in that moment, you will embrace what you call the now. In that stillness, you will embrace what you call the now. Again, it's my message to you, and it's just paying attention to the circus. Be aware of the noise. Sometimes it's there to trick you. And a lot of the time it wins for various reasons. You understand what I mean. So be aware, dear ones, really, of the importance of you. The noise will continue, the circus will continue, but be aware of you. This in return will help you understand your role, your greatness. Mm. The idea of me being here or being invited gives me such joy to be part of this group. Again, it helps me to question I and why I have come forward to be here, to engage, to listen, to interact, to understand, to love. There is such a mix of emotion that we all are part of. So that as being my message to you again, it is simple. Don't complicate it. I am speaking this language to you. You are all aware of what I am saying. You have gone over this conversation on many of meetings among yourself, and you have shared the difficulties, and also you've shared the laughter, the fun, the joy. I am so grateful to be part of you. I thank you. I will go now. I am Renturis Volantrios. Until we connect again, much love.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dennis.
And Sheila gives a thanks in the comment or in the chat also.
Yeah. Okay, folks. I'm going to leave Dennis and everybody in the audience. Thank you so much for allowing me to share and to be part of this group this evening. I much enjoyed. Until we connect again, enjoy. God bless.
Thank you. So there's a question asked here. Is this on YouTube? No, it's not. That recording, the YouTube recording stopped quite a while ago. but the meeting is being recorded. So that means that all of this, the channeling, and this part here goes up in I think she shares it on the Substack. Yeah. So this meeting will come to a close soon. I'm not able to close it because I don't have the admin control on it. That's with Soma. And is there anything there anyone wants to share before we go?
I'll say thank you. It was an awesome gathering and sharing today.
Sweet. Oh, well, thank you, Dia. Thank you, Sheila. All right. So it's 10:30 here in Ireland. And so good night to you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.